Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Secretaries Pompeo and Panetta, for joining us today. The United States faces an array of threats around the world, the likes of which we have not seen in decades. It is clear U.S. global leadership is critical at a time when our competitors, like the Chinese Communist Party, are manufacturing strategic alliances to challenge us. However, there must be other ways to avoid a spiral of competition in which the CCP increasingly supports oppressive states like Russia, North Korea, and Iran, forcing us to respond. And as we know, conflict on the international stage can have impacts seen at the local level, including higher prices at the gas pumps and grocery stores and longer shipping times for U.S. consumers to get the goods they need. This is a cycle of ever greater conflict, which we must break if we are to work together in the global community to solve our biggest challenges like climate change, migration, and nuclear proliferation. So, Secretary Panetta, since we cannot draw any of these hostile nations into our orbit, what can we do to break the cycle and disrupt the formation of CCP-led strategic alliances before they cement?
Look, I think we have to stand back and look at that dangerous world that's out there, and look at all the flashpoints that are part of that world, and the threats coming from China, from Russia, from North Korea, from Iran, from terrorists. It is a troublesome world. And I often think, how does the United States confront that many challenges? The only way we can confront those challenges is through building alliances. That's the only way we're going to be able to deal with it. It has to be not only the United States, but it has to be our allies. And by the way, the one thing about these autocrats is they're not very good at alliances. They're not very good at building their own alliances. That's our advantage. So we need to strengthen NATO. We need to strengthen our relationship with both Israel and moderate Arab nations in the Middle East. We need to strengthen our relationship in the Pacific between Japan, South Korea, Australia, India, the Quad. We need to build those relationships. We need to do it in Latin and Central America, and we need to do it in Africa.
Thank you.
That, I think, is going to be the most fundamental task, is how we effectively build those alliances so that we can confront these adversaries with our allies.
And while we aim for a more productive global community, we must continue to operate in the reality of these times. I am clear-eyed on the need for the U.S. to remain a steady, solid, and sound defender of the rules-based international order. When democracies anywhere are threatened, whether Japan, South Korea, or Taiwan, it is our moral duty to step up and lend a helping hand. President Biden has led the world in support for democracies under threat, like Ukraine and Israel, but Congress needs to do more to provide the resources the President requested in his National Security Emergency Supplemental. Without these essential resources, our allies would be left in the cold. Secretary Panetta, what would you say are the most critical pieces of President Biden's National Security Supplemental request, particularly with regards to Taiwan?
Look, I think that supplemental is a very important request that will benefit our foreign policy in the world. Our ability to provide military aid to Ukraine. We've delayed this for too long, and Ukraine has suffered as a result of that. And the last damn thing we want is to give Putin an advantage in Ukraine. So that is extremely important. Aid to Israel, we know how important that is. In order to give them the capability they need in order to defend themselves. And Taiwan, obviously, another democracy that is under threat. So every one of those pieces that are critical to the supplemental, I think the President has obviously made that request, but very frankly, I think the bipartisan support in the Congress is there to pass that package. We just need to get there. And I understand that we need a deal, and I understand we need to protect our border as well. All of that is critical, though, to being able to show the world that the United States stands by our word.
And thank you. With that, I yield back.
Thank you.